for the next stop. We'll take your ticket. I will tell you, in case they don't tell you, your tickets are good all afternoon. You can ride again as often as you want.
Because you listen to me I'm so tired. This is as far as I could go back.
Flick on the AC, we'll be all right.
No, it's outside.
Is there somebody else here to take his place?
Yes, we have 2 from last weekend. Well, that's what you were supposed to be watching. Okay. So what we stopped here for, quick, the gray stuff you see is slag. That is the remnants of the iron making process. That's all the impurities. The black stuff that's underneath of it, alongside our tracks, is bony. That's what's washed away when you clean coal. That is the boundary layer between coal and rock. That it's impure, it doesn't burn. So they
the 145 trip. Bob Emmer is bringing him over. If there is a tour he could join, that would be great, and he'll just...
So the EBT used it because it was free. They used it for ballast. They tried to use the slag for ballast. It didn't work out too well. It's very brittle and porous, and it doesn't take up the pressure too well. But they used a lot of it because it was free. It was the right price. The environmentalists do not like bony. It's a waste. It's an environmental hazard. But they have to love it now because they found an endangered species of turtle living in the bony in Mount Union. So they have to love it now. And we actually have turtles over here in our wetland that come across here and actually have made their nest in the bony because it retains the heat for the incubation. So we actually had 2 nests this year hatch. The other year we had 5.
What was the name of the bird?
Turtle.
Turtles. Oh. We got different box turtles, snappers, painted turtles. The one that's the endangered species up at Mount Union, I don't remember it, but that's why the bypass looks like it does.
Okay.
Because they couldn't disturb the bony. So I believe that's why it's got that sharp curve before it joins back in with 22.
You can keep those rock. I got plenty of them.
So any questions on this?
I do.
Yeah.
And just want you to know that I got the book about trains.
You did.
Very good. I got several books at home. I got a couple books on trolleys at home. I got one on San
You
Diego.
take it to school, you can tell people you've been to the moon. Moon rock. If you're,
All right.
kids will believe each other. Yep.
We ready?
Yep.
Ready?
stopped at right now is the remnants of the third Rockhill iron furnace. The town of Rockhill actually was built here around the furnace. The remnants that you see right now, if you look at the sign, is that third-story building with the cupola on top of it. That was the powerhouse. That is where the walking beam steam engine and the two huge bellows that blew the hot air into the furnace were. That building's 30 feet, 3 stories tall on the outside, 2 stories underground. So 50 feet, how big those bellows were in that walking beam engine. The furnaces are the 2 round towers on each side with their own building. That's the sand house, the mold house. The big long building in the back is a storehouse. That's where all the ingredients were stored. You take 3 items to make iron. You need the iron ore, which we passed coming in for the mines. You need the limestone, which came across from the quarry across the street, which has been in operation since 1876. So it's been providing limestone and rock for a long time. The third thing you need to make iron is coke. And that coke came
I would
from
like one, please.
Yes.
Cold one.
No sodas allowed on this trolley. I am on a diet. I have not had a soda in 2 years. So no one can have any. So the coke was made from coal. The coal came down from the Broad Top coal mines by the EBT. There's 100 BI coke ovens back here off to the right in the woods. They are still intact, most of them. So you bring the coal in, throw it in the oven, you bake the coal, which gets out all the impurities and makes coke. So the coke was stored in the warehouse. They would bring it up in wheelbarrows through the square shafts behind the towers, dump it in from the top. They put the coke in first, then they would put the iron ore in, with the iron and the rock, and then the limestone would go on top. That is the flux that draws out all the impurities once the rock and iron melt. So they put the lid on top of it. There's no stack. All that exhaust gas came back through the warehouse, through the building, and mixed with fresh air in the bellows, and the bellows pushed it back into the furnace. So it was a rotating cycle, which made a very, very hot blast, which produced a better iron product. Because the hotter it got, the more iron precipitated down to the bottom, the more impurities went to the top. So when they were ready, as I said, those sand houses with the furnaces, just imagine this is the sand house. Your seats are where the molds are for the ingots. They would draw a channel down through the center of the car here, and then channels off to the side to the ingots. They'd knock the tap out. The iron being the heaviest flows from the bottom, flows out through the tap, down the channels, off to the sides. Now you've all heard the term of pig iron somewhere in life. This is where that term came from. Because when the iron flows down and flows off to the side, there was a lot of handholds on each of the molds. And someone in their infinite wisdom looked at one of those and said that looked like a sow suckling her young. Hence the term pig iron. So that was just the broad pig iron. It was shipped out by rail. Early days it was shipped out by ox or mule or horse, and would go someplace else to make the finished products. You know, the cast iron skillets. Our controllers on this car, the seats, are made out of cast iron. So it went somewhere else to be finished and made into what it's used for. Back then, the iron was today's plastic. It was used in everything until steel came around. And it's still in use. Just take a look at this car. Almost 100 years old. We're still on its original truck frames. And those are cast iron frames. This operated from 1876 to 1908. The Bessemer steel process came in effect then. Iron was not in as much of a demand. So the plant shut down. As I said, the town of Rockhill was here. Where you lived, where you worked, or how far away you wanted to walk to work. And back then people didn't have cars. So you either walked or you rode a horse if you're rich enough to own a horse. So when the plant shut down, the only place that you could get work was back at the railroad, either working for the railroad or taking the railroad to Robertsdale to go work in the coal mines, or taking the railroad to Mount Union, because then the fire brick plants sprung up in Mount Union to make the bricks for the new steel making process. So there was 3 plants up in Mount Union. So the town of Rockhill slowly gravitated to where it's currently at today, around the Orbezonia station, because you only went as far as you wanted to walk. What's missing from the plant here also walked with the town. There's houses in town, there's sidewalks, flower beds, and a few other things. And 2 stalls on the EBT roundhouse are made from the bricks from this plant. So they were recycling before we knew what recycling was. Yeah, they just came over here and started taking brick down and started building places.
I cannot offer you a brick.
Yes, we have to keep what's left.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, if the townspeople can take them.
You're not allowed to touch it anymore.
Oh.
This is now a historic site. You can't touch it. At least
It's a swimming pool though. It's 20 feet deep.
At least we're trying to turn it into a historic site.
I think we would bring a lot of people to be in a swimming pool.
Yeah, I agree.
So any questions?
I'm looking at this brochure, and there's a program called the Run a Trolley program.
There is. We'll talk about that later. You have to be 18.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah.
355 copies. We're leaving the furnace now, so we're clear from here to Carbon 1 wall track.
That is correct. Dispatch out.
355 out. Staying out?
We haven't got that done.
Are you staying out?
That's probably not
You want me to stop for you?